somebody who I didn't realize was important to me, I felt like I betrayed them. And so this is the piece that I wrote for them. And it's called Apology. And I started writing this piece in November. I think it was November. And I've never written a poem like this. And I felt like it was too important to mess up. So this is like a fourth draft. I would love feedback on it. And the next time you hear it, it'll probably sound a lot different, but better, I hope. Okay? Okay, here we go. I never said your name. I'm sorry. It was nothing personal keeping me from joining the multitudes of voices literally screaming your name because you didn't deserve to die. I just said nothing about it. I have a beloved friend named Fatima, and she has more revolution in her big toe than I've had in my whole life. She kept texting me your name, and I've always responded to a text before, but then they went unanswered because the revolution was calling, and I didn't know how to tell Fatima that I was ashamed of doing nothing. So I'm sorry, Sandra Bland. It's just the wound was still fresh. I could still feel the 5 shots in his back. I'm saying this had just happened. They just shot dude, and I hadn't stopped clapping from the last speech and cheering on the last protest, and here I find out about you. So I guess you can say I was in a state of shock. My voice infected from festering wounds, silenced by the blow of injustice, again, like a nightstick to the stomach from badges covered to hide their evil covenant while on the front lines of the struggle, and I couldn't catch my breath. So I couldn't say anything about it. Sandra Bland, I'm sorry, but this poem will never be silent. It will always tell your story. I won't give details here. I will just say your name. I'm going to make them look you up, make them Google you for the transcript of your injustice, because Black Lives Matter isn't just a slogan, but a cease and desist petition we were born to sign, because niggas are literally dying to be the next hashtag. We knew that we was more than I. You would have said my name. You would have started a ruckus. We both woke enough to no longer conform to lies. Me, born to save lives with right lines, but were you, for some ungodly reason, born to die? No wonder we see the black woman as God. Because when you were crucified as your child, much more of me was required. But I was tired, Sandra Bland. I was tired, so I didn't fight. And then no one got indicted. How dare I keep quiet? Please, Sandra Bland, forgive me. And right now, I promise you 3 things. 1, to always say your first and last name in the hopes that at least an ounce of the pints of respect you lost at the hands of those who neglected and allowed your destiny to design death to happen, I refuse to ever let them forget. 2, Sandra Bland, I promise to never have to apologize like this to another slain black woman, because sadly, I know another one is coming. And 3, Sandra Bland, I promise to do my best to never let you or Fatima down again. Thank you all. It's been my pleasure serving you from the Master's table.
Holy coffee beans, Batman.
We'll be serious, y'all. Walk with me, and I'll talk with you, and together we will build, because I have a right to write myself right. Walk with me. And I will talk with you. And together we will build. Because I have a right to write myself right. Let me speak to you. Let me reach deep in that place where fear was first planted, when you first thought monsters were in your closet and disappointment sprouted when you found out that Santa Claus wasn't real. Let me feed that starving part of your heart that once harvested trust in a God you believed in but couldn't see. But now you can't bring yourself to trust in this God who has the audacity to call himself your supreme being. Yeah, right there. That's where I'm headed. Fidget all you want, but don't wait to get comfortable, because I ain't just your average knick-knack, paddywhack type of a poet. I am a minister. And I should write all my poems in red ink so people will know who's really speaking. Best believe just because I don't call a prayer line when I'm finished spitting doesn't make this any less of a ministry. See, I know how it feels to have your faith rocked to its foundation, looking for answers to questions that you don't even know how to ask yet. When the task set before you seems so insurmountable, it's as though God sold you out just so Satan can make his monthly hell quota. I know what it feels like when love has made you public enemy number one. Cupid trading his arrows for shells, his quiver for a clip, and his bow for a 9mm Glock with the infrared sighting, and there's a little red dot on your heart. Tavis can relate, y'all, to having the most important person in your life taken, not just once, but on 4 separate occasions. A pastor, a father, a mother, and a fiance. I'm telling you, Azule, I've been there. Thoughts of suicide, reaching for a bottle instead of a Bible, looking for love in a strip club instead of a church, and not living, but settling for survival. You see, my mom never taught me to believe in Santa Claus. And singing old church songs in the dark kept the monsters in the closet away, but I did believe in love. And as a result, I believe the ghost in my heart's closet was that of love lost. So I sat in the lap of God and kissed him on the cheek, but it still felt like he was ignoring me, because he knows that the longer he gives us the silent treatment, the harder for his voice we have to seek. So I reached into his pocket looking for his wallet, because I figured my heart had to be in there somewhere. But all I found were 3 Tic Tacs, 64 billion sticky notes of unanswered prayers, and Santa Claus's expired identification card. So I fled October. God, I don't believe in love no more.
Oh.
Part of me wants to believe, but it's hard to believe when everything I've loved at some point, including you, has turned its back on me. For the first time, I saw God cry. Tears, not as rivers of water, but as stars light years apart, fell one by one because of God's broken heart. And at first, he didn't make a sound, so the silence of his grief was deafening. But when he did speak, 2 shots from a Mossberg couldn't have hit me any harder, because he said, son. Sara, he called me son. That's borderline blasphemy. Because when you stop believing in love, that's when you stop believing in me. Walk with me, and I'll talk with you. And together, we will build. Because I have a right to write myself right. I miss my mother. Dear Mom, you once asked me what I wanted, and I want to go one day without crying. I want to plant seeds of decisions and not sprout apples of apprehension and oranges of origamic reasons, folding one over the other again and again until 1,000 beautiful mistakes resembling swans and flowers but not sound judgment. For once, I want love to stop by and just say, hey. And only if invited in will come bearing gifts, and upon departure, leave empty-handed and everyone on good terms. I want my memories to remember me. When they tie me up with a mental masochism, when I make mention, I'm not in the S&M, so my tears are not whips but seeds. And I want to be able to plant seeds of decisions and not sprout apples of apprehension and oranges of origami. I want to stop having to go through the same thing over and over again. I want my family and friends to tell me they believe in me, but with their backs turned, so I can't see what their eyes are really saying, and they can't see mine well with water because they know the truth. I want to go one day without crying. I want to write like Poe, dance like Esther, sing like Ella, act like Denzel, laugh like Hugh, make people laugh like Blues. I want to preach like Elder Grant and teach like Pastor Greg. I want to love like a 3-year-old, learn the arrogance of a cat and the loyalty of a golden retriever. I want to look at life and not get an attitude. Mama, I just want to make you happy. By the time you read this, I'll be dead. So now I can add your happiness to the list of things I won't accomplish because of this. And I know you think I'm going to hell for this, Mama, but don't worry, it's cool. Just being transferred. Sorrow has been sitting in my soul so long, it started to charge me rent, and I just don't have the emotional capital, so I'm going to move out before I'm evicted. And suicides go to hell? There's no justice in that. What's the sin in giving in? I was only destined to burn in heaven forever if I continued to live the comfortable life of litanies to which the only keys were on my knees. And how many times do I have to hear no before I know this life isn't for me? Let not your disappointment wax long, Mama, as if you did something wrong. Pick the blame up from your feet, put it in the urn with my ashes, turn it into mud with your tears, and place it into God's hands. And maybe he'll make a better me next time. Maybe he'll lessen the talent and add more common sense. Tweak my trust mechanism so it doesn't expel so much. Fix the crack in my head gasket. Replace the shocks in my heart. Drain on my pipe so his spirit as water will flow more freely through me. Download a dot protector. Install Norton antivirus and a wireless connection so answers the prayers will come clearer and without interruption. This may take a while, Mama. Complicated anomaly. So maybe this new me will learn from my mistakes. Don't you get it, Mama? I'm not killing myself. I'm just giving God a clean slate. Love. Tavis. Walk with me. And I'll talk with you. And together we build. Because I have a right to write myself.
Right.
Right. I miss my best friend. She saw a lot. Mom's dead. No, I haven't. Whatever she is. She's not here. My best friend is Charlotte. She's a girl. And my favorite color. She and I are as random as the 10 Commandments, so one day I sent her a text message and I asked her, if you could be any animal, what would you be? She calls me Daffy and I call her Tweety. It was no surprise when she replied, a bird. I guess she figured it must be impossible to hurt while airborne, so this is how I saw them, 3 women. A gorgeous canary with butterfly wings, the perfect hue of blue, and a black darker than that part of night that comes right before this dawn people keep talking about. She has a sharp beak to match her tongue and wit and webbed feet, enabling her to swim through her insecurities. I loved her like I was waiting for another kiss that would never come, but she didn't know this, so I hoped to never would ask her for directions to my lips. Yes, I loved her like this, unconditionally. And she loved me. Like kids love bubbles, not really knowing why, just because it makes them feel good. Sometimes you just want to feel good, but she doesn't always feel. She ain't always good. I told her that's okay. It's okay to experience life. And she said, Tavis, death is not an enemy, but life ain't always a friend. She said this standing at the foot of our bed dress, only in my dreams, but it wasn't enough to keep her warm, freezing. She said she felt like she was falling. I said, don't worry, beloved, I got you. I held her like belief. She wanted to cry, but that kind of vulnerability is reserved for prayer and certain courtroom pleas. So I opened my hands and showed her the deeds, the heaven and hell, and my name was on neither, promising she'd never be guilty to me. So weep, beloved, weep. There are no black robes here. If 11 of your peers are sitting in a box against you, mine will be the empty seat because I'm sitting right beside you. A codependent, but no codependency. I know you're strong enough to walk this way alone, but you don't have to.
Wear your shortcomings and inconsistencies proudly around me. Though I've never seen you naked, astound me like the last time you pressed your flesh against mine, allowing me to become one with the only skin God gave you to be beautiful in. Forgiving you for every time you tried to cut your way out of it, playing tic-tac-toe with the bottoms of your feet. He understands. Blood doesn't make him queasy. He allowed others to do it to him for you and me. And see, this is why I am a Jesus freak, but you got me speaking in the tongues of at least 10 different religions like I don't know what to believe. Whew. She said she wished someone loved her like that. Azule, I wish she loved her like that. I told her she was beautiful, and she said it's only because she's a reflection of me. Tavis, sometimes all I have to look forward to is the sunrise. So we watched it on our sides, laughing at how it rose to the right. I watched her go to sleep, and I held her like belief, y'all. Love. Love isn't one big thing. It's a million little things. 3 different women, 3 types of love, all of them unconditional.
For me, one of my favorites.
Ding ding! Clever Lane, Clever Dane. What's your prediction for the fight?
Prediction. Pain.
Both boxing glove tape, Botox injections. We swell lips. Road construction workers pose as dentists. We knock holes in the drywall of God's teeth so we can fit our words in his mouth. Vicious Ray-Ban. Vision swollen with shade. We turn God's eyes into illegal limousine tints. Rewind, because I messed it up. Vicious Ray-Ban. Vision swollen with shade. We turn God's eyes into illegal limousine tints. Stop the car. Cop car lights. Pull the words over. First, it started off with quick jabs, like footwork. God, you need a color. God, you need a gender. No. God, you need to support my agenda. Support my cause. Wear my jersey, God. Play for my team, God. Take my religion to the playoffs, God. Demonic gut punches to the chest and the liver. Body. God, you think you tough, huh? Body. Ain't nobody got time for them scriptures, God. Don't you know? We will come into your home and pick out your wardrobe just so you can look like you support our wars, though. Body. Block it. You can't stop us, God. We have been training our Adam and Eve to eat your ribs. No vegan. Garden of Eden. Get off them ropes, God. Keep your guard up. Left hook. Block. Right hook. Sandy hook. Hit you in your weak spot. We will walk into schools with book bags full of blasts trying to reclaim our youth from you. My God. Bite harder on that mouth guard. Get out of that corner. Bob and weave. Duck it. Do like we humans do. Ignore the issues. Ignore the mental illness that allowed the gunmen to steal innocence more precious than first breath. Cesarean section, dodge it. Weave it. Ignore the pain. Ignore the swelling and the swollen of women who are kidnapped every day because some men morally can only see out of their penis. God, when you see the punch coming, you need to disappear like Malaysian airline flight 370 or school buildings in the Gaza Strip. Slip underneath it, counter it, dodge it, sway like Muhammad Ali did Vietnam. Become us, God, and duck it. Hide it from the kids. Don't talk about the past and how it relates to the present because the conversation, it sounds too guilty. It sounds unapologetic. Making eye contact with it, it sounds like progress. It sounds too much like dismantling privilege. It looks like we're doing the Cupid shuffle on past Native American tribes. It sounds like truth married to facts instead of biased opinions married to lies. Block it, God. Block it like the border blocks illegal aliens, but they let drugs cross over the border into low-income communities. Keep the fantasies of racism standing on its toes. Lego movie, everything is awesome. Lock the emotions up for life. Be a fashion model. And wear our justice system like designer clothes. Stay in the fight. Fight like we do. swing wildly into the crowd. Mace, taser, and tear gas anything that looks like compassion or civil liberties. Protect yourself, God. And if you want to win this fight, you're going to have to beat and exterminate love out of everything you touch. Constantly, consciously neglect the casualties and murder like we have. Make the blood flow off course, Columbus. Rip it apart. No mercy, fatality, mere mortals in combat. Block it. Block it. You can't. We can't. You're slipping. We're slipping. Fall. Buckle at the knee. Chop it back and yell timber louder than mothers of slain black teens. No. Yell timber louder than mothers of deceased soldiers fighting wars in the Middle East. Drum set roll. Crash. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. KO when the crowd goes wild. And the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world is...
Ignorant.
That Tavis requested me to do, but I'm also going to do something that's one of my favorites. Like, I write a lot. I don't get to present everything I write. So this is one of my favorite ones.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off. Mission Control, come in. You're breaking up. Mission Control, do you hear us? Come in. This is Space Shuttle Rick James. Come in, Mission Control. We have successfully reached our destination, and now we are attempting to make contact with the unknown species. All of our movie scripts about aliens can't compare to what we're seeing here. The sight here, it's like it's writer's strike. It's like holding. Hold on, we're engaging in conversation right now, Mission Control. Communication is a go. Communication is a go. Their color is fluid like water. No opposition, no aggressive hostility, no signs of threat. Native tongue on a universal scale. I said the speech tastes familiar, Mission Control. The speech tastes familiar. They use the same spices to season their words too. Questions. Oh yeah, questions. More than open, they are scalpel slice open heart surgery when it comes to questions. So busy building. No time for criticism, only breadcrumbs. Their clocks are always set at evolve in rotation. So much information. I took many notes, Mission Control. I want planet Earth to find home in believing in meanings unknown. Let me further... Come back in, Mission Control. Mission Control. We're back. I hear you. Communication is a go again. Let me further explain their rationale. They said we should be further than what our bodies allow. Imagination creates the rawest form of organic will, but commonality disrupts the cycle. Our small dimensions of reality places a pause on the potential of our perception. Mission Control, this means we're just using half of our reality just... Come back. Do you hear me, Mission Control? Come in. They outlaw normal ignorance in advance. Their religion is infinite recycle all of it. They pray to each other's purpose, believing that the highest form of God is the preservation of progress. Wars, unnecessary. Poverty, unnecessary. Diseases, unnecessary. Without the corruption of capital currency, these things don't fit into their agenda. The repetition of reflection is a divine practice in their agriculture. Clean farming techniques. They plant seeds to grow crops that heal every harvest. Mission Control, you're losing me. I can't go back. The children have a chance here. From birth, everyone is educated in the art of possible. Telling them to shoot for the stars is an oxymoron. They already know how to engineer small suns for fun so they can see each other's dreams better. This is an environment where the atmosphere inspires its species to breathe leaner and lighter. Mission Control, this planet is awake. I repeat, this planet is awake, always building, creating, inspiring. It's so complicated. It's simple, void of personal egos. All of us, it just feels, it's. Oh, Finn.
All right,
The
this
shadow of Julia. The shadow of Julia.
So my grandmother was buried the same day that Michael Brown was, and this poem is about that day. Michael Brown's mother, her name is Leslie McSpadden. This is called Equal in Death. Grammy died last August. As the bolder breath of a deep south summer shriveled the leaves on my basil plant, her spirit passed from the body's hull to an eternal unknown. We buried her the same day Leslie McSpadden buried her 18-year-old son. Drove in a long steel procession from the town church on North Main Street to the tiny chapel in Bradford Springs. The moldering hills flanked us. Upon them, a series of straight grooves making soil and grass stripes of the land, like track marks on an addict's arm. Grammy's people, my people, were farmers, skin pale like the cotton they never themselves picked. Not till centuries after law in the place they claimed theirs forbade people as property, sharecropping. Grammy spoke none of this to me, no one did, save one of her brothers, my great uncle, who returned from college one summer in the 30s awake and took up work in the fields. His light complexion shining like the pond's cold cream Grammy loved. His body moving in unison, if just for one summer, next to the cocoa and oak-hued souls he'd known lifelong, yet never in this way. Never shoulder to shoulder, hands in the soil, together. When such talk was more fashionable Grammy once told my father God made dark skin dark to show white folk who not to be with. A tinny line put out by hysterical white preachers who called Jim Crow God's will and truth. As the true nature of these ideas and the trespasses they masked came more to light each decade, Grammy stopped talking this way. By the time I knew her, she and all our kin had always been on the sweet side of history's pine chest. The past through her eyes glowed, draped with a haze like the Spanish moss tendrils of the oaks in Bradford Springs. Grammy loved to tell me her mother taught the sharecropper children to read. Her great-grandparents, enslavers, had been good people. And everyone's sure nobody raped anybody
Never.
in my family. Sometimes people tell me they're tired of white guilt, too much of it already. I say there's not near enough. Guilt is one of the languages our conscience speaks. Those fine feelings Grammy somewhere was taught to quiet, repress. I loved Grammy as she was, though I felt she was stifled long before dementia by plaque in arteries that would have allowed her to feel again the full flowing radiance of soul. We buried my 99-year-old Grammy the same day Leslie McSpadden buried her 18-year-old son. As we, her descendants, waited with her coffin in the lobby of the town church, my aunt, pointing to the pale cotton pall embroidered with flowers, leaned to me and whispered, "This pattern is from a New Testament psalm." "What does it mean?" I asked. "We're all equal in death." Grammy, I know you're here now, just as when you were born. All of you, knowing what you forgot along life's way, that love isn't a summertime fling, that God's will and truth is not, that we are equal only in death.
He did not rest.
He did not rest.
With his Bible at his side, from his foes he did not hide. And it's hard to think this great man is dead.
Will the murders never cease? Are they men or are they beasts? What do they ever hope to gain? Will our nation rise or fall? Is it too late for us all? And did Martin Luther King die in vain?
Well, he had seen the mountain
top,
and he knew he could not stop. Always a searching with the thread of death ahead. Folks, it's time we stop and think, 'cause we're headed for the brink. What's going to happen now that the King of Love is dead? He was for equality, fought for poverty, all people, you and me.
You and me.
Full of love and goodwill, hate was not his way. He was not a violent man, so I'll never understand.
Right.
Why was he shot down that way?
I don't really write poems, so this is one of few. I don't like the title, so I'm not gonna read it either. But we'll just call it Where I'm From. I am from Leave It Better Than You Found It. From expensive doesn't make it good enough for me. From fresh food, which is my mother, 5'2" but towering as usual, with a knife, and me with a slab of beef, butcher fresh and slippery in my fingers while she hacks it into two, because it's cheaper if you do it yourself. Remember this when it's a heaping pile of hot red stew and rice and sweet plantains on the plate. I am from Puerto Riqueña babysitters and Irish nuns. I'm the only plaid-clad Catholic student. Let me start that over. I am from Puerto Riqueña babysitters and Irish nuns. The only plaid-clad Catholic school student who thought the jigs they made us dance were a gift, who ate up all that bland brown bread. From city blocks where cops stopped and knew my name. From clean, straight streets and neat green lawns where police came only when called and quick. From hay rides and hot cider, and I'll bear the cold, but please don't start a fight. Don't you know I'll never get this dry grass out of these braids? From dry grass to bluegrass, which I must have known before I knew it, had taken a meandering path from Africa to Appalachia. So when I was drawn to these mountains, I was only returning to where I'd already not really yet been. Rhode Island beaches flanked by gray stone. Michigan, where the kids don't dance. South, get the white kids. South Carolina, where I simply did not know those battles were still being fought. I am from outside, where you get only half a hand-me-down rule book, so take notes and make do. From code switch and switch again. Language like a watershed leading me to one river. From you guys and y'all to clip words and draws. From soda pop to everything is Coke. From Yoruba, that is 100 words with 1,000 tones, where names are sentences, so I am a paragraph. But still, when I visit my people, I grab the recorder and play the reporter to have something to hold in the space between us. I am from that space, from soaking it in and giving it back and praying to be better when I leave this place than I was when I found it.
About 2 years I've done that.
I used to believe that real love was always pretty. Pretty like corners of mouth curved upright, exposing dimples and almost white teeth when he calls at 9:02 in the morning just to say, I love you. Pretty like dark bodies moving wildly in perfect synchronicity with the rhythm of African drums. Pretty like dogwood trees that come into full bloom seemingly overnight while firewood embers fade to mere memory with the winter cold. And I wanted that. I wanted that pretty, picture-perfect love. But this love thing ain't always pretty. Ain't always pink roses and yellow daffodils. Ain't always Christmas morning, sparkly wrapped in tight bow tie. Sometimes it's downright ugly, like hurtful words that the words I'm sorry simply can't take back. It's a sprinkle of, why don't you listen to me? Mixed with several dashes of I don't care, which blend to make the perfect concoction of miscommunication, often unintentionally communicating that we don't care. The reality of our love is that it's work, hard work, labor intensive, always pushing through the silent treatment, pushing past resentment, pushing past the others who try to pull me away, pushing through the desire to just walk away. And I stay because I love you. I love how perfectly imperfect you be. I love the imperfection of you and me.
Say it. So this is sort of a love story. I wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the things that inspired the art that I've been making most recently. And the catalyst for this work was I graduated college and I was in Charleston and I met this guy. And as most anyway, so we were in Charleston and then he moved to Savannah. He had a job there, and I didn't have anything else to do. So I moved to Savannah, and then about a week before we were about to get an apartment, he decided that he wanted to move back to Charleston. And he said, like, as an artist, I feel like if you are, a real artist, wherever, you don't have to stay in any place. You can move, you can work. And I said, that's not realistic, and that's not how I want to live my life. So I stayed in Savannah. And I didn't have a job or anything like that. I was really alone because it was just him that I moved with. So what I started to do was collect things that were Savannah-esque. I started to date the city, and I collected things that I did and things that interested me, and then I got a lot of crap. And then I said, well, I gotta get rid of this stuff. So I said, like, what I'm gonna do is paint it or use it in art, and then I can throw it away, basically. So these are, it started out like just like that. So what I did was, some of the things I collected, I turned into just pieces of work. Like this is a map of Savannah, and one of the events that I went to. I also used stuff that reminded me of stuff that happened before I moved to Savannah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like me and this dude, we went to the Bahamas right before I moved to Savannah. And so I took that map and I started to like do these paintings. One of the things that's been kind of difficult for me is I'm really critical, and I think like I want to paint like pictures, but that's not how it works. And so it like kind of makes me frustrated, but I found like using materials, I could kind of use those colors and the theme that was already going and kind of like work it myself. I used a lot of colors that I thought were contrasting, and I just wanted to show like, let the contrast spark interest. And so that's one of the maps, and then a ticket to a sporting event. This is another similar piece. There was also stuff from like places I used to work. I used to work at this gallery called 1800. And then some of the things that reminded me of my coworkers. I started working at Savannah College of Art and Design, and so one of my bosses, he had this collective called Maker. And so basically I just used stuff that was kind of going on in my life at the time. And so these are a few more pieces. I found like feathers. Savannah's like got a lot of green spaces. a lot of birds and junk like that.
Birds and junk.
Trees, violence, and everybody has business cards. So, you know, just stuff that I could use and get rid of at the same time. And so after that, it kind of developed into something that I kind of like wanted to explore more. I thought, like, you know, I can use color, but also it didn't have to be so literal. So I started to do like more abstract lines. This is a piece of the four separate pieces, but this is just one of the pieces that I had in a few shows in Savannah with the Savannah College of Art and Design. And then I started to utilize some of the materials that I had. I used to install art in their museums for about 2 years. So it was like lots of plexi, canvas, things like that that were readily available, and paint. And that's basically all you need, you know, as a creative. And to get it for free was, you know, awesome. And so I started to use those things, and what I guess I kind of wanted to represent with the way that I was painting was just that as things are like created, you know, on canvas or wherever, there's also like this awesome element of impermanence that is I guess part of it. And some of the things that, you know, I thought I was holding on to as far as